Take a breath.
Happy Monday. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, joining you each and every weekday morning as we give you things you need to know to start your day. We'll tackle a variety of subjects, including lawsuits against Illinois over the interchange fee. We'll also review the status of a few other lawsuits challenging Illinois law and a variety of things. We also got to hear from Illinois Senate Minority Leader John Curran about the calls for more investigations into alleged child abuse within the state, especially coming from places that get tax dollars. But we've got to delve into what's going to be a long slog as former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan prepares to go to trial this week. We've got jury selection starting, and then we'll have what's estimated to be about a 10-week-long trial, a criminal trial against Madigan, who's charged with 22 counts of racketeering and bribery and corruption from what federal prosecutors said was nearly a decade long of Madigan's enterprise, using his elected office and his political office for personal gain. So what I wanted to do is we'll review some of the things from the ComEd 4 trial and to help kind of describe what we could be seeing during the Madigan trial, again, starting this week. So all of that's on the way here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join us each and every weekday morning as we give you what you need to know to get your day going here with Illinois in Focus Daily. Former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan going on trial starting this week for corruption. We've got jury selection that's going to begin, and a lot of questions of what exactly is going to surface during the trial. Now, Madigan was the longest-serving state house speaker in Illinois. He was speaker for all but 2 years, from 1983 till 2021. He was also the chair of the Democratic Party of Illinois since, I think, 1998 up until 2021. So that nexus of power he had as somebody who could control what goes through the legislature while also controlling the party purse has been heavily scrutinized. And then in 2020, the summer, there was a a deferred prosecution agreement between ComEd and federal prosecutors, essentially ComEd acknowledging that they took part in corrupt acts with Madigan and Madigan Associates to benefit the utility, but also for personal gain for Madigan. So Madigan wasn't named in this. It was only Public Official A, titled the Illinois House Speaker, and everybody obviously making those connections. It was Madigan. And then in 2022, Madigan was ultimately charged after he had stepped down as Speaker and chair of the Democratic Party of Illinois. Then the ComEd 4 trial began, and that was 4 individuals who were associates of ComEd and Mike Madigan, charged with bribery. And during that trial, which ultimately they were found guilty, however, you've got the ComEd 4 trying to have their case, reevaluated after the Supreme Court of the United States ruled in a case narrowing the definition of bribery. So defense attorneys for the ComEd 4 executives and lobbyists looking to have that case dropped. We'll see where that goes. But regardless, Madigan himself has tried to use the U.S. Supreme Court narrowing the bribery statutes to try to get his case refined. That has also not worked. But anyways, back to the ComEd 4 trial after, of course, several weeks and a lot of testimony, including undercover video. This is fascinating, and I do want to go through some of this, but undercover video shows conversations between Fidel Marquez, who is working with authorities, and Mike McLean.
And have them write up what they do. I'm like, I don't know what they do.
And they're talking about job descriptions and what exactly these individuals under contract through a lobbying outfit that ComEd's paying. These individuals are associates with Mike Madigan. Here's Mike McLean talking about the top guys that are associates of Madigan.
They're all former board committeeman and alderman, Zalewski, former alderman Olivo, and this either was number 1, 2, or 3, depending on the year, his best precinct worker, who actually trains other precinct workers.
So you had Marquez, again, wearing an undercover recording device. The video, for whatever reason, isn't translating here, but they talked about the cost, because Marquez, working with the feds, trying to get clarity as to what these individuals were doing for the money they were being paid for by ComEd. And you heard McLean, who's a co-defendant with Madigan starting this week. He's already been found guilty with the ComEd 4, but McLean talking about the overall costs and what they ultimately do here, with Marquez saying it's not clear how he can tell ComEd what exactly these individuals are doing.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know the numbers offhand.
I've never asked him, but probably 10 grand a month at least.
Yeah, I don't remember offhand.
So that's 288. If it's 10 grand a month.
So obviously, it's a lot of money that ComEd was paying. Marquez is trying to get from McLean, a longtime confidant of Madigan, what exactly these guys do, because he's worried he's going to go into a meeting and they're going to see this contract line, and Marquez is going to have to explain what the individuals are doing as part of a contract with Jay Doherty, who was also part of the ComEd 4, who's found guilty. And Jay Doherty, in an undercover video recording that Marquez got for prosecutors back in 2019, in the spring of 2019, they talked about this and how exactly they're supposed to explain what these individuals are doing.
As far as I know, maybe you could tell me different. All these guys do is, they're a sub under you, and you cut them a check. Do they do anything, or what do they do? What do you have them doing?
Not much, is the answer to the question.
Okay.
Not much. Let me just answer this. If I ever need anything from, in general, I would ask him. But this is really all, just you and me talking.
Yeah.
This all came from Hooker, McLean, Frank.
Okay.
And I don't talk to Frank only. I mean, when my dad died and was
right.
and stuff like that. But I don't say, go do this in Springfield.
Right.
Go do this at the city council. Go do that. Ray Nice, I met with a couple of times. Ed Moody, I mean, I see him, but I don't do anything specific. But I do know that every 6 or 8 or 9 months, every once in a while, Hooker will call and said, is everything okay with the guys or whatever?
Okay.
Because I know John C. is the chairman, the speaker.
I see.
So again, the conversation really focused on what are these do-nothing jobs? How am I supposed to explain these? All right, and you even heard Doherty there saying they don't really do much, except for when I call them and I need something every once in a while. But he also hinted that this is part of what Madigan's wanting. What exactly do they get the benefit from?
So, number one, your money comes from Springfield. ComEd money, right? I mean, for the most part.
You mean that's how we make our money?
Yeah.
Get ready. Through our rates, yes.
And, I would, for me, and again, Mike Madden is not my best friend, but if I called him right now, he'd call her, or he'd say, if I want to see him, I'd go see him. But my bottom line advice would be, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. With those guys.
Okay.
I don't think, you've been around the game, and, and again, Madigan doesn't ask. I never, ever once had a conversation with Mike about these people.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that I have every reason to believe that McLean has.
Okay.
I know Hooker has.
Okay.
Because Hooker would call me with, I mean, I didn't train these guys. I never met these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I met Olivo because what you guys
Well, he used to be an alderman.
Council, yeah. And Zaleski I know well.
When he was the alderman.
Yeah.
Right.
And they keep their mouth shut, and so. But do they do anything for me on a day-to-day basis? No.
No, all right.
Kind of fascinating to hear some of that again. And then at the tail end of, and all of this, by the way, the video and audio is what has been released during the ComEd 4 trial, where ComEd 4 were found guilty. And I imagine with the Madigan trial, we may see even more audio and video evidence, and we'll be reviewing some of that as it comes in. But at the tail end of this, federal prosecution provided during the ComEd 4 trial evidence. You've got Doherty and Marquez, who was working. Marquez working with the feds. Doherty talking about how to keep Madigan happy.
And these other three people, all this money. I don't know about the other three people. That's just can be answered in Springfield with Madigan, and to keep Mike Madigan happy, I think it's worth it. I mean, just because you'd hear otherwise.
Okay.
I mean, my opinion would he. I never talked to him about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't have to.
Yeah.
But Hooker has.
Yeah.
And do you talk with John much?
Yeah, I talked to John.
He'll know the story, and he'll know the story about collecting all the dough.
So he'll know the story about collecting all the dough. Again, evidence from the ComEd 4 trial, just to kind of help paint that picture of what the prosecutors are revealing in do-nothing jobs handed to Madigan Associates in exchange for ComEd paying those individuals. ComEd could get some favorable legislation. So Marquez being charged in this as well, he pleaded to something, and he was working with prosecutors to get this undercover video. He was talking with McLean about, hey, how do I explain this to Joe Dominguez, who was the CEO of ComEd at this time, about this contract. And then he goes to Doherty to get more information about the contract, and Doherty seemed to reveal that, this was to keep Madigan happy. These lobbyists, these do-nothing contracts that he admitted, they don't really do much. So then the undercover audio and video from a meeting that McLean had with Marquez and Dominguez about this exact thing. And you can't really see much on the video, just where the camera's positioned, but the audio is crystal clear.
The history with Madigan is, even in the...
McLean.
When Lee Daniels was speaker, we had a bill that we wanted heard, and Lee wanted no part of it. And even then, Madigan grabbed the bill and had the meetings in his office, and the same thing with when we deragged.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know if it's his view of ComEd from even the 70s when he got to name people to be meter readers, right? I mean, it's the old-fashioned patronage system, and ComEd played it like a chip. You're a ward committeeman, and we have 7 meter readers in your ward, and you can name 4 of them. And that's just the way ComEd was for years. And then as we kind of morphed into not being able to do that, no meter readers, and frankly, your employees are more skilled than a lot of people in his ward. We morphed into how else can we help you?
So again, the old-time patronage system, trying to morph it into what's available now, because a lot of the jobs they were handing out back then weren't necessarily as skilled as they are now, so they had to find different ways. The system's been in place for a long time, they said at this meeting.
So that's just what we've always done for, good Lord, over 20 years now, because we can't really do meter readers. We don't have them anymore. We don't have linemen. There's no one from the 13th Ward lineman. So what we have is Mike Zalusi Jr. Senior.
He goes through
used to be an alderman.
Some of the others that are involved in this, and ultimately Dominguez kind of reserved back to, okay, well, it makes sense. We just need people who are connected.
It's like the lobbying team itself. There are periods of time where people are saying, "The hell are these guys doing? Why are we paying them?"
Right.
And then they will do something in the magic moment.
That's worth
between
that's worth 100 times what you're paying them.
Right. And so that's.
No, it was just me wanting to make sure, Joe, that
No, I don't want to hold it up. This is fine.
So
Yeah.
it's going forward?
Yeah.
No, when you sent me that note,
Okay, good,
that was it.
good.
I just want you to be aware.
So
We gotta
again,
do that business.
that's
Yeah.
just some of the evidence that was released. There was a lot of phone conversations as well, trying to, paint that picture of the Madigan enterprise that federal prosecutors allege happened over a decade to benefit Madigan and Associates in exchange for favorable legislation from ComEd. Madigan goes on trial this week. You've got jury selection starting tomorrow, I believe, and then a 10-week trial expected. We'll do what we can to keep you posted on the latest. As, again, some of these headlines here, you've got prosecutors want to bar politics as usual defense in the Madigan trial. Madigan criticizes the press frenzy as he works to screen the jury, and Madigan doesn't want the word corruption used at his trial. And you've also got McLean, who wanted to split from Madigan during this trial, but the judge denying that as well. So lots of moving pieces there, but does it show what people are concerned about when it comes to corruption in Illinois? And as we head into the November election, is it going to impact the November election? Questions that surely we all have to be thinking about here. All right, it's Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell with America's Talking Network, and check out thecentersquare.com for the latest headlines and get the newsletter. Stay informed. Calls for more investigations around alleged child abuse inside Illinois in places where your tax dollars are being used continues to grow as you've got Illinois Senate's Republicans pushing for an independent inquiry into one particular home in Chicago. Welcome back. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop, each and every weekday morning with you here at America's Talking Network. So last week we did review some of Governor J.B. Pritzker reacting to hundreds of individuals who are alleging child abuse at various facilities that tax dollars are used to help support. But there was also one in particular where a report from Injustice Watch that looks at Cook County courts dealt with a home that had some political connections and the allegations of abuse and such. Here's Senate Minority Leader John Curran raising substantial questions about that during a news conference on Friday.
We are here today to call for accountability and transparency about the very serious accusations of abuse of children under the state's care at Aunt Martha's Integrated Care Center in Chicago, along with what appears to be the Pritzker administration's attempt to cover it up. A recent Injustice Watch report outlined thousands of reports of violence, including the most serious allegations of sexual and physical abuse of children under the care of the state-funded center. When Governor Pritzker came into office, he repeatedly held up this facility as a national example for how to care for the most at-risk foster children who are prior victims of abuse. He hired a top executive of Aunt Martha's, Mark Smith, to serve as his hand-picked director of DCFS, despite public questions about conflicts of interest. It was Governor Pritzker's hand-picked director that gave a no-bid contract to A-Alert, a security company that Aunt Martha's chief operating officer raised concerns about after allegations surfaced that the guards were making sexual innuendos to the children and sharing pornographic material. Despite these significant concerns and allegations of abuse at the facility, the Pritzker administration not only continued to employ the security company, they doubled down and paid them even more. According to our analysis, the state has paid over $7.5 million to the security company A-Alert over the past few years, most of which, about $2.3 million, appears to have been paid out after the first allegation of abuse. The last payment was most recently August 30th, just 1 month ago.
So he's, of course, talking about tax dollars going into this, and this is just one facility in Chicago that Curran was raising concerns about. The Department of Children and Family Services, they actually spend more than $2 billion a year in child welfare funds for a variety of things, helping fund these types of homes and such. But Curran, continuing on with his concerns, just in how the Pritzker administration's responded to this and what's needed next.
The governor's office has refused to even comment on the horrific findings of this investigative report, and as a result, we are stepping up and calling for the Auditor General to conduct an audit of DCFS's handling of contracts and administration related to Aunt Martha's and A Security Services. This includes abuse, background checks, staff hiring, the backdating of protected plans to determine the extent to which contracts were monitored, whether staff were properly screened and hired, and whether all allegations of abuse and mistreatment were properly investigated. We are also asking for an examination of the spending of state funds at Aunt Martha's and A Alert Security Services, and whether Illinois state officials acted outside the law regarding the allegations of abuse and oversight.
So again, he's asking for an independent investigation, one that's not coming from the executive branch, but independently through the Auditor General of Illinois. More from Curran.
Instead, a 34-year-old veteran DCFS worker tried to persuade the center officials to backdate critical child protection plans amid an independent investigation by the agency's Inspector General. These aren't just accusations. A DCFS spokesperson acknowledged the cover-up attempt. Thankfully, the center's staff refused to participate in this completely unethical attempt to change documents amid an investigation. It is imperative that we have an independent audit and investigation of this situation outside of the executive branch. The families of these children deserve answers, and the people of Illinois deserve to know where and how their tax dollars are being used.
So, this is just one instance that Leader Curran on Friday was bringing up, and the call for an independent investigation by the Illinois Auditor General into this. But that's not the only one. I mean, you've got hundreds of others who have sued separately, 3 different lawsuits filed about alleged abuse of hundreds throughout the state from 1996 to 2021.
To anyone that this...
Pritzker on last week at some time, I think it was Wednesday, maybe Tuesday, but he was asked about this in particular and said that individuals who've been harmed by the state need to come forward. He expects more people to come forward, but he wouldn't really provide comments.
No, the people who brought the lawsuit say that it has happened to them in the past. I'm talking about in the present moment with these lawsuits filed, right? We can see from the lawsuits what the allegations are, and so looking into making sure that that isn't happening today in the facilities is something that the state is obligated and will continue to do.
And he had some more comments here just in response to the hundreds that are suing.
Again, I'm not going to make specific comment about the lawsuit other than to say that we want to make sure we're looking at everything, the allegations that are being made, and interviewing the people that are allegations have been made against. And of course, we don't want anybody working for the state that is doing anything that is endangering these children.
More to come on all of that, no question, as people are concerned of how children are being treated and whether or not abuse allegations are being thoroughly vetted, especially when it comes to your tax dollars being involved. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and get these segments with America's Talking Network and get the updated headlines at the Center Square. Get the podcast anywhere you get podcasts with Illinois in Focus Daily. When you go to the store, you're buying goods, and if you use a debit and credit card, the store is being charged an interchange fee every time you swipe it. But a law in Illinois that's being challenged in federal court would say that, you can charge an interchange fee for the goods and services, but financial institutions, you can't charge that fee for taxes and tips. And this is the first state to do something like this, and the legal battle seems to continue to mount. Good morning, I'm Greg Bishop. It's Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join us as we break things down to help better understand what's going on with swipe fees. So part of the budget that Governor J.B. Pritzker enacted included this provision, the Interchange Fee Prohibition Act. And the measure, again, prohibits financial institutions from charging a fee whenever somebody uses a debit or credit card on taxes and tips. They could charge the fee for the goods, but what about those taxes and tips? So clearly this is something that is now in the courts with bankers groups filing lawsuits and pulling up the docket here in the Northern District of Illinois Federal Court. This goes all the way back to, let's see here. August 15th, the complaint's filed, all right? The Illinois Credit Union League, Bankers Association, America's Credit Unions, America's Bankers Association, they filed this lawsuit. Then you see all the notifications, but a lot of action actually popped up on Friday when you had Senator Dick Durbin file a brief on this. You had the state looking to dismiss the case by saying that there's no standing. Again, taking a look here at just some of the activity on the docket from the past, last week. You got a motion for amicus brief from Illinois Restaurants Association, also from the Retail Merchants Association. They like this law and they want it in place. But you also have other people filing, including Dick Durbin, who's filing to leave, for putting in an amicus brief. But then you get to the motions here, and you've got Kwame Raoul's office motioning to dismiss for failure to state a claim. But the bankers groups, they have substantial questions about all of this and how this is going to not just impact Illinois, but potentially sow chaos in the financial sector. If Illinois is the only state doing this, I mean, how much are they going to have to change up all of their, variety of systems and their computers and how they provide the service. Michaela Carr, director of AmFree's Center for Legal Action, she spoke with my colleague and said that while the law wasn't written very well.
When a law is completely unworkable, it's easier to make the case that this probably should not be left in effect. So we are hopeful that we'll be able to prevail. If not, we'll continue to fight and continue to push this issue both legally, legislatively, but also in the court of public opinion.
Now, Carr talking more about this, just ultimately saying it's not really a workable law.
Not only do I think that on a macro level, this is a bad idea for free market economies, but on a micro level, this particular law is unworkable.
So you then had other filings, of course, the bankers groups and the credit union groups filing for, the ability to block this law before it goes into effect next summer. But one agency from the U.S. Department of Treasury filed a brief, and this was coming from the Office of the Comptroller. The Office of the Comptroller filing this brief, and I just want to read some of it to you, as this federal agency ultimately saying that, it's a violation of the National Bank Act. So the Center for Legal Action filing a brief. You've got others who were filing briefs, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, an independent bureau of the U.S. Department of Treasury, saying that Illinois' Interchange Fee Prohibition Act prevents or significantly interferes with the national bank's exercise of their power under the National Banking Act to process electronic payment transaction data. The National Bank powers infringed upon the IFPA are a fundamental importance to maintain safe and sound banking. So that's, the filing that came out. Governor Pritzker asked about the Office of the Comptroller Currency, essentially filing this, saying, hey, federal law supersedes state law in this space. Here's what the governor had to say last week.
Interchange fees. Does this raise any concerns about that this law will be voided?
Well, sure. I mean, it's not something that I, deeply concerned about because I think the challenge to it will be adjudicated and a decision will get made. But as far as I'm concerned, we passed a law that I think is having a positive effect. But again, when things get brought to court, you never know how they'll turn out. I think this one is one that can be defended well, and we'll end up with the law that we have on the books being affirmed.
So again, Governor, confidence that the law will stand the continued lawsuits here. But how this goes, we'll keep you posted. There's several other lawsuits against the state we've been keeping an eye on. You remember that lawsuit filed against state police over the automatic license plate readers? Well, the latest now, the court is taking the briefs of the plaintiff's response. That's due by the 10th of this week. And also, you've got the defendant's reply in that case due by the 11th, rather by the 8th of November. So this case about automatic license plate readers, if you recall, you had a group sue saying it violated individual civil liberties by essentially tracking people everywhere they drive with these automatic license plate reader cameras. You see them on posts really all throughout Illinois. So that lawsuit is moving forward with briefs to be filed. So that's just another lawsuit against the state of Illinois. But also some other stuff to note here that we'll be watching. November 12th, the Veramontes case, which challenges Cook County and the state of Illinois' gun ban. That's going to be heard in the U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals for the 7th District on November 12th. Again, November 12th, the Veramontes case in front of the 7th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. So we'll be watching that, challenging the gun ban. You've also got the case that we've been tracking, Myers v. Kelly, a federal lawsuit against the FOID card. That's actually been dismissed, so without prejudice, meaning the case can be brought back, but apparently that case is essentially stalled out and is no longer in the federal court. But you've got the state level challenge to FOIA that Gun Save Life have. That's set for a November 14th hearing in the appeals court, the state appeals court. And that should be available live streamed. So we'll tap into that and keep you posted. But then you've also got the challenge against the gun ban in the Southern District. Remember that case, 4-day bench trial last month? Well, after October 20th, so 13 days, you could get a decision from Judge Stephen McGlynn. So you had another law that the state is having to defend in federal court. Up in Chicago, I do want to try to keep as much of an eye on it as possible, but that lawsuit the city has against Glock, that is set for a hearing, a case management hearing on November 20th. So that'll be in Cook County Court, November 20th, a hearing on the city's lawsuit against firearms manufacturer Glock. So those are just some of the things that we're keeping an eye on when it comes to the courts and where we're at with all of these cases from a variety of different things. So keep it here. We'll keep you posted. Go to thecentersquare.com, get the updates and stay informed. And that's where you're going to get the dailies. And right here with Illinois in Focus Daily, part of America's Talking Network. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join us each and every weekday morning for Illinois in Focus Daily. Happy Monday. State's largest school district has a board that essentially vacated, and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson set to announce a new school board today. Welcome in Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop. Chicago Public Schools facing some tumult as board members resigned Friday, and pretty shocking and quick turnaround. You've got Johnson going to announce new board members. We'll see what we can find out from the mayor when he holds a news conference later on this morning at 10:30. But the news broke that you had a whole bunch of board members resign. A Chicago alderman sharing this on X, saying that 36 members of the 50-member city council have just released a statement voicing deep concern with the resignation of the entire school board and what it can mean for the city's future and education system. Now, some of the things to consider here are that you have a lot of debt that the city is having to struggle with when it comes to the school district. You've got ongoing contract negotiations between the Chicago Teachers Union and the city and trying to get a new contract. But you also have, apparently, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's administration wanting to get rid of the Chicago Public School CEO, who has refused calls to step down over management of a variety of things. So you've got this statement here from the CPS about the CPS board resignations from a vast majority of the Chicago City Council. And it says, the past Friday, all 7 sitting members of the Chicago School Board resigned. These vacancies, which will now be replaced with direct appointments from the mayor, will be tasked with overseeing the CPS budget, CEO Martinez's employment, and the ongoing negotiations with the Chicago Teachers Union. This is unprecedented and brings further instability to the school districts. Taking out a $300 million high-interest payday loan is not smart, with CPS already facing a massive deficit, and the city almost $1 billion deficit, with federal COVID relief funds having recently expired for CPS. It's crucial that CPS leaders keep the interests of taxpayers and our children top of mind as the new members of the school board who are announced their resignation, understanding that the reality of the situation by passing a budget that did not include this loan. This is an extreme cause for concern now that these voices have been dismantled. So again, just some of the statements from the vast majority of the Chicago City Council. But not the only one making statements, of course. Ann Williams, who is a state representative who actually helped spearhead the new law to allow for direct election of school board members. She also released a statement that we'll pull this up on X, where she posted it, saying, like many, I was shocked to learn about yesterday's resignation of all the members of the Chicago School Board amid significant disagreement with Mayor Johnson as to fiscal policy and leadership. This inserts a level of uncertainty and instability in our schools that is extremely concerning during a time when the district is already facing so many challenges. This spring, she sponsored a bill to implement the elected school board as negotiated in 2021, which provides a phased-in elected board with 10 of 21 members elected this November before transitioning to a fully elected board in 2026. So she goes on to talk about Chicago students deserve high quality education and the resources to succeed, but major decisions which have significant impacts on the future of the Chicago public schools should not be made until the new school board is in place. Will that be the case? Or will Johnson, in his announcement today, select board members who are going to comply with what he wants, as Johnson's a former CTU member and really had the CTU and the union back his election. So a lot of questions as to how this is all going to play out. But what's the Chicago mayor posting on X? Let's take a look at that. This is just one of the most recent messages he posted. First time ever in Las Vegas, and I was excited to spend my morning in churches all along the city stumping for Kamala Harris and Coach Walz. My message was simple. The black church is the soul of the country, and we must show up, turn out our sister Kamala Harris. So, looking at his posts here, I mean, this is his political page. Don't really see much else when it comes to the announcement of the Chicago School Board resigning. Take that for what it is, I guess. So we'll hear what the mayor has to say today as he prepares to hold a news conference to appoint board members to the state's largest public school. Pretty incredible stuff. It is Illinois in Focus Daily, something else we'll keep an eye on here as we continue to update you each and every weekday morning. I'm Greg Bishop. Thank you so much for being with us. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and join us each and every weekday morning for Illinois in Focus Daily. All right, appreciate you guys tuning in. Of course, be sure to join us in the live chat each morning with a pretty active group of people sounding off on all of these issues, and you can have your voice heard there too. But also get the clips. If you can't make the live show, you can always get the podcast anywhere you get podcasts, but also get the various segments at America's Talking Network on YouTube, and get the headlines at thecentersquare.com. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. Have a great Monday, and we'll see you back here soon with America's Talking Network.
So,